October 26th, 2016. For most of us, that date doesn't hold much significance. But for dozens of people in South Sioux City, that was the day that their lives changed. More than 30 homes were affected that year by hydrogen sulfide gas, coming up from the city sewer lines after Big Ox Energy began operations in September of that year. Just 1 month later, dozens were forced to leave their homes because of that gas. A number of them have not been able to return. Now, in an exclusive sit-down with Siouxland News, some of those people who endured the smell recall the night it hit and what they have endured since as they fight to reclaim what they can. And the mayor of South Sioux City talks Big Ox Energy and its future in the community.
Growing up in South Sioux or around South Sioux, you smell when IBP or Tyson dries blood. You can smell when Richardson Milling's dumping molasses in with their oats. You can smell when Bimbo's is baking bread. I mean, there's all these, and you kind of identify where they're from or have a pretty good idea. This was unlike any odor I'd ever smelled before. I mean, this one was making people sick.
And it just hit. You couldn't breathe. You couldn't move. It was just like it hit you like a ton of bricks.
You know, if we go back to October 26th of 2016, in the evening in Robin Marie's front yard.
Right.
And the mayor was coming in from out of town, stopped, and he walked into Robin Marie's house, turned around, walked around the corner and puked.
Yep.
It was so bad. He came out and told all of us, your houses are dangerous. It's a dangerous chemical. Get out tonight.
How has Big Ox impacted your life? Whoever wants to start.
It's a hard thing because it's not just Big Ox. You've got to look at the whole entity of Big Ox and the city. Mm-hmm. And how they've impacted it. They've changed our whole lives. Instead of having our home where we live, where we have all of our stuff, where we know we're comfortable and safe, we no longer live there. We no longer have that stability.
3 years ago when this happened, I was a senior in high school, and this really overshadowed and ruined the last that I had while I was in high school. And while life was easy, it made life a lot more difficult than it needed to be. Living in South Sioux was always something that I was very proud of. It's where my parents were from. It's where my grandparents were from. It was supposed to be this great community that looked out and looked after each other, and it breaks my heart seeing how fast they turned their backs on us for some company that just opened up.
The second and third week of October, we were putting a roof on my house. And our roofers were sick on the roof from the odor coming out of the vent pipe. If you went around the neighborhood, I lived outside of the city, but I was still on city water and sewer. But the ambient air was so bad you couldn't stand it anywhere in our neighborhood down the southeast end of town.
Let's just start in 2016. It started not long after Big Ox went online. Right. What was going through your mind when this first started, when you first started hearing about these issues with these homeowners?
We knew that there was an issue, and we had talked to these people several times, and they'd be complaining of odors in their homes and nothing we had ever experienced before, so we didn't know for sure what it even was. When this whole thing started, okay, we figured out there's sulfide gas, and first of all, you know, there's very strong beliefs on our end that every one of those homeowners that were affected by this had faulty plumbing. They had proper traps in their house. The smell, this is how houses are built, would never have gotten in their homes. No, I don't care how strong that smell is.
We did everything they asked. We let whoever they wanted come in and inspect. Big Ox came in, the city came in. We did everything they wanted. And then they just walked away from us when they realized the homes were so destroyed. And I think it had, I don't know.
Yeah. They said, oh, you said some homes the plumbing was bad. My plumbing tested fine for Big Ox. I got a receipt that says, hey, your sewers are good, your vent pipes are good, but yet my plumbing's faulty because it was to blame us, that followed that on me. I've had my drains checked, I've had my plumbing checked, I've had a camera down my line to the street. There's nothing in that pipe other than spider webs and a little bit of water that runs down now and then. But it's just one eye after the other. We've not done anything to those houses. We haven't modified anything, we haven't changed anything as far as sewer, plumbing, or water, or anything like that. And a house is, the age of our houses, shouldn't need any of that anyway, because they're not that old homes.
In December of that year, some of those whose houses were filled with hydrogen sulfide gas performed smoke tests on their plumbing to see where that gas was getting in. Siouxland News reporter Nick Popham was there as those took place. Let's take a look at that story from December 15th, 2016.
We got toilets bubbling. Did this toilet bubble?
I did not.
The one downstairs is going nuts.
Big Ox Energy and a plumbing service hired by the company began a smoke test around 9 in the morning at the 4 houses owned by Rob Baker, one of the residents affected by hydrogen sulfide. They did this to see if there are any ways hydrogen sulfide could leak into those homes. When they began the smoke test in the first home, this happened.
Yeah, see, this is what they say cannot happen. They say smoke and gas cannot come through the trench. Look, it's coming right through the toilet, through the water.
These smoke tests were run in all 4 of the homes. Of those 4 homes, 3 had leaks in them. 1 from the toilet, and the other from 2 smaller locations on pipes.
In all this situation, we've never had that. You know, we've just had the smell, but we've never noticed that. I know one resident over here on Redbird said that he had a shower upstairs that was bubbling back through his shower, but we've never had anything like that.
It's more of a simulation. I can't say that it's absolutely conclusive, but it definitely would represent sewer gas that could potentially enter that home.
Bradley is confident that after applying these tests, they found a large majority of the homes could have some sort of leak.
We've found homes, I would say roughly 85% of homes have had some type of issue, which, as I said earlier, would potentially allow sewer gas to enter that home.
But what the Bakers didn't tell Bradley, and didn't tell us until after Bradley had left, was that they spent nearly $1,000 a couple of days ago to do their own smoke test from a different plumbing company. And that came with a different result. The invoice the Bakers provided to us says, quote, smokehouse, after hours, all tested fine, which makes Rob Baker a little skeptical.
You know, we've been here, what, 2.5 hours? It took 2.5 hours to find 2 small little leaks. You know, that's really pushing it.
During the inspection, Baker told us, and it's been confirmed by McClure Engineering, that the plug installed by McClure that would move the industrial flow of waste into the newly installed pipe had deflated. As a result of that deflation, all the industrial flow is now going back through the original line until the plug can be inflated. In South Sioux City, Nebraska, Nick Popham, Siouxland News.
Talking to the residents, and I'm just curious too, is there a viewable plan of the city sewer system to where you can see, you know, where it dumps in from Big Ox and which homes are specifically affected and which blocks?
They can show you the pipe at the time when it happened. And in the past, we have had commercial sewage go down the residential lines and never had an issue. But I think this was, from Big Ox's point of view, it was more pungent, it was stronger, but properly plumbed, shouldn't have made any difference in those houses.
So were those houses up to city code then?
You know, I'm not going to say for sure. I know there was some that weren't up to standard. That plumbing was not where it should have been. Several of those houses, the plumbing was not right. And so, you know, was it up to city code? I don't know for sure. I don't want to say that it wasn't because I'm not sure. But I know one thing that I've heard many times is that the plumbing in those houses was not sufficient, was not where it should have been, and if it would have been, they shouldn't have had these issues.
So is that on the homeowners?
Yes.
For that issue?
Yes.
Did you ever go into those homes when this first started happening?
Yes, I went into several homes and you know, I could smell something. I didn't know what it was. It was something like it reminded me, sometimes in my home in the wintertime, when it gets dry at the winter, the trap in my basement would dry up. And every time that would happen, I'd come in, especially when I walked in the house in a certain area, I'd smell it. I'd always thought to myself, I had to go down and pour water down that drain. I have a shower downstairs and something else. So I'd pour water down it and it would go away. And so that was kind of the same smell that I was smelling when I would go into these homes.
How many homes did you visit? Do you have a rough estimate?
Approximately 5, I guess, 3 or 4 or 5. I'm not sure. Can't remember. It's a long time ago.
And how many eventually were determined to have that hydrogen sulfide gas in it?
Well, there were 66 houses in the whole area where that sewage went down, and 35 homes reported odors. So out of the 35, 15 of them, were the ones that were really, that decided to file a lawsuit against the taxpayers.
Has there been one since these lawsuits have been filed? Has there been a process of maybe negotiating to drop that lawsuit and maybe offer another settlement?
Well, once the lawsuit was filed, they keep showing up, make us whole, you're not doing anything for us. You know what, we did everything we can for them. We did everything. We put them in the nicest motel, we gave them food allowances, we tried to work with them, everything we could. But once you're told, no, I don't want to do it, it's not enough money, it's not enough money, it's not going to make me whole. Okay, we're going to go so far as a city. At that point, when they filed the lawsuit against the taxpayers, that's when we said, at that point, we no longer could help them.
I had a house that I lived in, I had a pantry full of groceries, I had a stove, I had a refrigerator. They paid for a hotel that I didn't need because I had a house. They paid for dinners that I didn't need because I had a home with a pantry and a stove. They didn't pay for anything. They ruined our lives. I mean, it might be feel-good money to them. It was miserable to us. Anybody here who stayed weeks and weeks and weeks in those hotels, we were miserable. The only thing we had that kept us going every day was each other. That's it.
So I do want to touch on the lawsuits. I know there are a number of them out there. Who does have one out, or who has filed a lawsuit with Big Ox or the city? Okay. What do you hope see come out of those lawsuits?
Well, the mayor promised he'd make us whole.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I'm concerned, that's everything that was in my house that's damaged is replaced. I don't know how you're going to replace my wife's wedding dress, but I'm kind of interested to see how they come up with that. I know my baptism outfit, some of the pictures, some of that. So, I mean, that's what I want. I want the mayor just to do what he said he was going to do, which is make us whole. So the city can own that house. I don't care what they do with it. They can own the house. They can deal with it. I just want compensated for what they took from me, which is pretty much everything.
The thing they can't do is give us back the last 3 years of our lives.
Or our health.
We're just in limbo. All of us.
Yeah.
We just live in limbo.
This hydrogen sulfide is a poisonous, toxic gas. It's been used for years by the military to go after enemies and kill them. That's what they pumped into our houses, along with some other things we don't know about. But we don't know what this is going to cause down the road. It could be lung cancer, it could be any other things, neurological, or anything could happen. But no one cared about the city at that time. They weren't cared when we went to the doctors to be checked out for anything. So,
I'd like the chance. Go ahead. Like the chance, when the mayor gets up there and he's spewing these things out about the political spiel that he puts out, and ask him, well, Mr. Mayor, you told us 1,000,000 times you're going to make all of us whole. Bring back my father. That's what I want to tell him. Because he and that city council took my father from our family. How's he going to fix that?
They were forced out of their home too.
Yes, and this gas was a result of him not being with us today. How are they going to fix that? How are they going to bring that last 3 years of all of our lives back?
What we all looked at for the future is gone. That we all invested in our homes and our properties for the future.
When we feel like our home got taken away from us, our son graduated from high school in August, and in October he was, this happened to us. So he's never got to come home for Christmas or to home, to our home. For any of the holidays, the grandkids don't get to come home. None of the family, Thanksgiving and all that, the Christmas holidays, all that, it's just gone. I mean, there's no place to do it. We have an extended family here. Thank God we have each other to help support us, but our lives have been so disrupted, it's hard to communicate exactly what that means.
I'm in a way ashamed, but I probably shouldn't be. We go to counseling twice a month. If we didn't have that, I don't know where we would, because I'm barely hanging on most days anyway, so,
It's not just the physical health, but the emotional.
And the physical's there. I've never had breathing problems before. I use all kind of inhalers now. You know, I've had cancer before. Am I going to have it again because of some crap I was exposed to in there? It's not fair. They took so much more than our home. That's the thing I don't think anybody realizes. It's so much more than sticks and mortar and furniture and things. It's who we are.
It's family.
It's everything about us. We're still here. I don't feel like I'm here most of the time though.
Earlier this spring, a few of those residents took me inside their homes. This was the first time I had ever been inside. Let's take a look back at what I saw when I stepped through their front door. October 2016 is when everything changed for these families and many others like them. Hydrogen sulfide gas began leaking into their homes from Big Ox Energy.
That's the smell. And the fact that it's cold and it's still not heated up enough and you can still smell it and feel it. And the thing is, you'll feel it after you leave.
Rob and Marie Baker own 4 affected homes. Jonathan Goodyear's home is down the street.
When this started 2 years ago, you couldn't even get up by the door.
Inside one of the move-in ready rentals the Bakers own, the smell of hydrogen sulfide lingers.
It's a chemical odor. It's atrocious.
2 doors down sits the former home of Rob Baker's parents. Stepping through this door is like stepping back to 2016. Nothing has been touched since they left.
The pictures, just everything is just, we walked out and left it all.
The chemical smell in this home is still strong on the main level. I can tell there's more of a smell in here than there was in that other unit. But when you move downstairs,
well, here you can look.
Not only does the chemical smell grow stronger, you can see the basement's deteriorated. Along the back wall, you can see mold on the floor, and crawling up the basement wall, the back bedroom is similar. And in the storage room,
See the pipes are black? That's new red copper. It's black.
That was red, bright, shiny.
Yeah.
down the street on Redbird Lane, Jonathan Goodyear's home sits empty, stripped to the studs after the city tried to eradicate the smell from the home.
Yes, this is the home they stripped down and was going to use as the tester house, and then they sent us a letter threatening us if we did not do the test that Big Ox wanted, then they were going to walk away. So as you can see, they walked away.
When all of this started in 2016, the Goodyears hadn't even finished unpacking yet.
Yeah, we had just bought the house. We lived in here a month and a half, so we didn't even have stuff on the walls yet.
I guess, what are your thoughts just walking in here?
My thoughts is they ruined our lives. They ruined my son's high school years.
Mm-hmm.
This is our life.
If you were just looking at their home, you didn't know the story behind it, it looks like it's under construction, just being built. But for the Goodyears,
this was my office.
this is an office.
Yeah.
This is a painful reminder of what almost was.
This was the laundry room right here. This was, let this down. This was my older son's room. They were hoping that it could be contained, that you could just get rid of the carpet, paint over the walls, and call it a day. But that's not the case. The case is that it saturated everything that can be absorbed.
In the basement of the Goodyears' home,
And that's with no heat on. No heat at all.
this used to be a finished room.
Brand new carpet all the way through. This was our family TV entertainment center. Game tables over here.
And like the Bakers' homes, mold can be found along the walls and across the wooden surfaces.
All along here. All along here. And then going up the wall over here.
The contractors that were brought in to get rid of the smell haven't been back.
The city just walked away from us.
Or have you been inside any of them since then?
I haven't been inside any of those since, but I do know as of now, several of those houses have been sold, and there is no danger. And so, you know, it's okay for anybody to move in. They've sold them. People are living there. They bought them. There was a fourplex. Every one of them is occupied now, and minimum, as far as I can tell, minimum construction to fix them. The air is totally safe.
So what is the next step for your homes? What's the future for them?
We are emptying our house. We're putting things in storage. Not sure if any of it's salvageable or not, but right now that's the choice we made. In hopes that we can sell our house or get some kind of compensation out of it. The hard thing is, you know, we will be honest and we'll disclose everything that's happened to that home. And frankly, the people that have shown an interest in the house that have come through it, I've told them, you can't live here. I mean, I'm my own worst enemy. I'm never going to sell the house because I talk them out of it as soon as they show an interest. It's interesting, the people that have bought houses in our neighborhood that have been affected by this, that we moved out of because we couldn't live there. Now people are buying them at a third or less of what they're worth, but they're not being told what's wrong with those houses, or they're being lied to, or they just don't care, and it's going to kill them, or it's going to make them very sick the way it's made us very sick initially. It's a long-term thing. So I mean, that's where we are today, is trying to sell a house that I really can't sell, and I really don't want to sell it. I just like it to go away.
I just cleaned my house out, and everything I owned, 50 years of stuff went in the dumpster. It's gone. Irreplaceable. What I did salvage and put into a 20-foot container of 50 years, and you open the doors to it and you fall over from the chemical odor. It all should have just went into the dumpster, because it is non-usable, non-enjoyable. Family pictures, family heirlooms, anything and everything.
It's memories.
Memories.
3 years ago when we left our house, it wasn't in our mind that we would never be coming back. If you go look at our house now, I still have a bedroom there, which I don't have at the house we live at now. When I come home from college and things like that, I don't have a place where I can go or a bed that I can sleep in. And just knowing that everything is there and how it's looked upon us, that we chose this for ourselves. This is not the life my parents chose for me and for us. My parents worked hard for the house so that we could have this amazing life that they wanted us to have, and they took that away from us. We did not choose this.
One of the people whose house was contaminated, and they ended up settling with Big Ox. And the poor lady, an older lady, sat in her driveway crying, throwing away pictures of her husband when he was in the service. All of those memories are for her went in the dumpster.
And I did not ask for them to pump gas into my house and ruin my family's life, my son's high school years. I didn't ask for that. So they need to quit trying to play the victim and blame us, and they need to step up and take responsibility for it, is what they need to do.
Let's talk about a possible plan to buy it. Is that still in the works for the city?
It's something that we're looking at, and it's still something that could happen, yes.
Why would the city want to invest in Big Ox when there's been all these issues already? Like, why is that a good choice for the city and for that taxpayer money?
Because Big Ox, the way they set it up, the way they were doing it, was be something that we would not do. Ours would be a lot simpler. It would just be a simple wastewater treatment process. We wouldn't bring in the more toxic type sludge that they were bringing in. So it would be a simpler process. The price would have to work for the taxpayers. Unless it totally works for us, we will not buy it. And the businesses out there in the Roth Industrial Park, they want us to make a move. They want us to buy it because it helps them with their operations. But as far as the taxpayers go, if we can buy that plant and make it worthwhile, make it work, the money cash flow, we have to build a sewer plant. And so if we can get the pre-treatment plant, then we don't have to build as big of a sewer plant, which saves millions of dollars. And so it's a big picture thing. You got to look at the entire big picture. We understand there was problems, we understand there was odor, we understand all that, but at the same time, we have hired people, they've went in, they've looked at the plant, they've gone through every corner of that plant, and they've done an analysis, they've told us what needs to be fixed, they told us what they think the design flaws were and the problems were that caused this problems what they had with odor. And if we do end up buying it, we're not going to run it. We're going to have a third party run it. But at the end of the day, if this is done right and bought correctly, it could be huge savings. I'm talking millions of dollars for the city and then for the residents.
For the citizens of South Sioux City, I hope they tear it down.
Yes.
That's a must. Because like Mike said, they didn't have one day of good operation in 2.5 years. Not one day without OSHA violations, without crap running off of the roof.
EPA air violations.
EPA violations. How can the city operate it any different? It needs to go.
So essentially, if the city buys Big Ox, it gets it up and running again, it's not going to be in the same process that it was. It'll be a much smaller scale.
Smaller scale, simpler, not as toxic. Everything will be different. First of all, the plant will need to be refurbished, and that's going to take some money. But all that is in consideration of what we offer them. If we prefer not to buy that plant, to be honest with you, but we would prefer somebody else to do it. But if that doesn't happen, we're at the same time we have a responsibility to look at it and see if it makes sense for us to buy it. And so no, we are not going to put the toxic type things in there. It's going to be simpler, easier. It's going to be run like a normal pre-treatment plant. Even myself, if I was a resident and I was hearing that, I would say the same thing. What are you guys doing? Why would you want that plant? Well, that's why. And if they were in the position and seeing what we're seeing, looking at the things we're seeing, they would say the same thing. It's all about the cash flow.
What do you wish the public knew, those that are not impacted? Not even just in South Sioux.
First thing, we're not in our houses. We're not in our homes. So every time you see us in public and you ask, are you in your house yet? They don't understand that that's a dagger. That's a dagger right to our heart.
I wish all the citizens, you said, what do you wish people knew? Or I wish they could have all been in our homes, smelled the smell. Imagine what it's like to have to walk away from everything you own. Your life, your memories, the hopes and dreams you have for the future. We were just finishing our home and just moving into it. 2 doors down from his mom and dad, I wish people really knew. Instead of, they think it's some sewer smell. It wasn't a sewer smell.
What the citizens of South Sioux City need to realize and pay attention is not our situation. Right. It's the whole picture of what the city is doing to the community. And their actions and lack of understanding of what impact it does to the citizens, just to do their own agenda.
Right.
If the citizens don't start taking some kind of interest in their town, if to sit by just silently while your neighbors' homes and lives are destroyed, and then we're made to be the criminals in all this, and they all just sit silent. Nobody does anything. Nobody advocates for anyone. Nobody stands up for each other besides us.
Right.
It's like nobody cares. They're all just buried in their own life, and our government will take care of us, and forward ho. I hope it never happens to them.
None of us know where this is going to end. We all have some ideas where we hope it ends. We know we're never going to be made whole. I'm never going to have my house back.
No.
My kids are never going to be able to spend Christmas 2017 at home. I mean, we know that. The Orlando girls are not going to be crawling around in their house. That house is gone. That's over. Rick's not going to have his farm anymore. That's done. So it's just a sad reality that we face every day. And when someone comes up to you and asks you those questions, you go between anger and sadness in a heartbeat.
Looking back now, do Does the city regret bringing Big Ox into town?
As far as everything that's happened, absolutely. I wish it was good intentions by everybody involved, but like I said, the citizens that are affected by this, and not only just the ones still suing us, all of them. And I would never wish that on anybody. And now the ones suing us, you know, I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy they're not in their homes. I'm not happy they're had to leave their homes or didn't take the offer. You know, I wish they could have stayed there. I wish none of this would have happened, and I wish everything was good.
Is there anything that you maybe want to say to the residents of the community of South Sioux City?
You know what? We were trying to make things better. We thought we did our due diligence. We did our due diligence, and you know, it had some negative outcomes, and we apologize for that. But we're working to make life easier, better, more affordable here. We can sit back and do nothing and just keep taking rate increases, tax increases, and never try to fight anything. Or we can do some work around here and try to keep electric rates down, keep sewer rates down. Do some work so their life can have more quality and they can afford it. Mm-hmm. That's what I would tell them. Do I wish this would have not have happened? Of course, I wish this never would have happened. If this lawsuit would not have happened, I really believe in my heart they would be living in those homes right now if we could have continued to work together and made something happen. I know it was slow going for them, but I think what happened is tempers got in the way, emotions got in the way, and the negotiations broke down. But you know, I am sorry that it happened. I can tell you that, and I wish they were in their homes. And if I can make it all, or if I can fix it, wave my wand, make everybody whole again, and making them happy, I would.
At the end of the day, Mr. Mayor, I don't feel lucky and I'm not whole.
So when this is all done, you will hear it. It's the end of the day.
And I will ask you if this made you whole.
And it never will.
Never will.
Never will.
I never will.